Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to where it's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakwadash. And double honors as always to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone, who are well and regard as truth. Today's lesson will be entitled, Jake will learn real soon that this isn't a game. Jake will learn real soon that this isn't a game. Somewhere along those lines. I was working today, and so-called black man I encountered, and I was talking to him, and he said he got pulled over yesterday. Yesterday or this morning, I think it was yesterday, and he was saying how he's already a black man. So, Esau's already looking for, a one-way trip, a freebie, as, the other dude said that, entered the conversation. Esau already looking for a freebie on Jake, to gun Jake down and shit. But I was talking to him, and he was saying that he got pulled over. And, police came back, said, his car smelled like marijuana. And, he said, I don't smoke marijuana or nothing like that. And he's like 58-year-old Jake, you would think he has some sense. But, most Jakes don't. Most individuals don't have common sense. Common sense ain't common. But, so they pull him out the car. He said, yeah, you can go ahead and check my car, He checked the car. And, they pull him to the back. And then, they're face to face, probably, I would say, 3 to 4 feet away from each other, talking distance. And, the cop asked him, you got any weapons on him? And here's where Jake always, wants to have play fun and games. And then, because it's all a game until the rabbit got the gun. And who's the rabbit at this point? The rabbit is about to be, the Esau's about to have the gun, man. He's about to use his sword. Real quick, let me get this. Revelation 12. And verse 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So Esau's coming down with great wrath, so you don't want to give them any more ammunition than they already have. And Jake is always playing games, man. So the officer asked the Jake dude, do you have any weapons on you? And then, mind you, late 50s-year-old dude, he says, yeah. And then he pulls a knife, which, a closed knife, out of his pocket and points it at the officer. And then he said that the officer, jumped back and, started to reach for his weapon. And I told him, I said, man, he would have been justified to pop you. He would have been justified to pull his gun out and to shoot you. I didn't say this, but that was a dumbass fucking move that he pulled. He almost ended his life, man. It don't make no sense. Jake always want to think everything is just fun and games until they die, man. Until it's not funny no more. Until it's not no more games. This shit ain't a game. This shit ain't no joke, man. And Jake, he pulled the officer said, do you have any, weapons on you? Which it's open carry, free carry. You don't have to have a license, so concealed carry. So the officer don't know nothing. He don't know if you have a gun or not. So he says, yeah, and then he pulls out his knife, his closed knife, and points it at the officer, and says, yeah. What any other reasonable? And then the dude that was there listening, he said, man, you just gave the officer a freebie. I said, yeah, because he could have killed him. He could have offed him right then and there, and he would have been justified. You gotta move wise, man. Speaking of myself first and foremost, we're in the times where you don't want to mess with Esau, man, and his sword. Matthew 10 and verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. We are in the midst of wolves. It says, be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. You got to be wise. You got to be harmless. And what he did was not wise, nor was it harmless. He could have easily got himself killed, man. And then everybody would have been boo-hooing when he should have just listen and comply, man. No, I don't have, I have a knife on me in my pocket right now. That's all I have. I don't have any other weapons. This is a knife in my closed knife in my pocket knife. Why you want to play games for, man? Jake always think that everything is a fucking game, man. This ain't a fucking game, man. And I asked ChatGPT as well. And I gave ChatGPT the scenario. It says, short answer, yes, the police can be legally justified in drawing their gun and even using deadly force in that scenario, depending on the totality of the circumstances, and in many real-world cases, they would be. It says, police use of force is judged by objective reasonableness from Graham versus Connor. That means would a reasonable officer in that moment believe they were facing an immediate threat of serious bodily harm or death? Come on, man. Do you think so? He would have been justified, man. Not hindsight, not intent you claim, only what the officer reasonably perceived. Applying that to your scenario, facts you gave. Concealed carry is legal. This does not protect threatening behavior. Police ask if the person has a weapon. Person says yes. Person pulls out a closed knife, points it at the officer. This is the critical line crossed. Why this becomes justified force. A knife is legally a deadly weapon. Even a closed knife can be opened in a split second. Courts do not require the weapon to be open for it to be a lethal threat. Police are trained on reactionary gap, 21-foot rule, and speed of edge weapons versus firearm response. Pointing a knife equals active threat, not passive possession. And intent is inferred from reaction. You don't have to say, I'm going to stab you. By producing a weapon, directing it toward the officer, you've committed intent through behavior. That wasn't wise, man. That was a foolish thing that a YN would do. You are a middle-aged man. You are in your upper 50s, man. Playing games, that's something that these YNs do, man. We are not YNs. Let me get this. Then everybody would have been crying. Yeah, you didn't. They would have been crying about dude, but the officer would have been justified, man. And like the dude said, you gave him a freebie. That would have been a freebie, man. You're already a black man. Police officers are already on edge. They already think you got marijuana in your car. Come on, bro. Live peaceably. Romans 12:18. If it be possible, as much in this case, it was possible, man. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. You gotta live peaceably, man. Agree. This is your adversary, man. You just gotta agree. And yes, officer, I do have a weapon. I do have a pocket knife on me. I don't have any other weapons on me. That would have been a smart move to say, man. Your life literally just flashed before your eyes, and you don't even know. And when he's telling me, he's laughing and joking about it. He's laughing. Well, I didn't do anything. Yeah, you did. You pointed a deadly weapon at an officer. Whether he said, well, it was closed, that don't matter, man. And we're at the time where Esau is ready, itching to come up against you, Jakes, man. Matthew 5:25. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. You could have that could have been jail time too, man. That could have been jail time too. It says failure to follow lawful commands. The correct response, I ain't read this part, legally speaking, would be yes, I have a knife. Hands visible, no movement, follow commands. Instead, drawing and pointing equals escalation. And that's exactly what, police want. Police are not required to wait. Officers do not have to wait to be stabbed to act. Court consistently hold officers may use deadly force when faced with an immediate threat, even if the suspect has not attacked. Would shooting be justified? Very likely, yes. If knife was pointed, distance was close, officer used commands. Commands or reasonably perceived danger. Movements was sudden or aggressive. Less clear if knife was slowly produced. Officer had distance covered. Clear confused. Was, you know, from what I was, how he was saying it, they was behind the car. It was either before or after, you know, the cop, probably before the cop searched his car, man. Bottom line, man. So yeah, the citizen was in the wrong, man. 100%. He shouldn't have did that. We're not in the time. We're not here to do that, man. We're here to be wise, circumspect, and that was not being circumspect. Let me get this last scripture, then I'm gonna hit the road. And yeah, as soon as I heard that, I said, this Jake is dumb as fuck. He literally just almost gave the officer a freebie. Been put on administrative leave for a week and then would have been right back on duty. Ephesians 5 verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. That was a foolish decision that old ass Jake made, man. Not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. We are in dangerous times, very dangerous times. And speaking to myself first and foremost, you have to walk very, very lightly and very circumspectly, and you got to stay on the alert, man. Don't give these your adversary any more ammunition than they already have. Their blessing is a sword. Verse 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. So with that, I'm going to hit the road. But Jake, ultimately, man, Jake just not going to get it to the kingdom, man. Jake not going to get it to the kingdom, you know, as it is written in 2 Ezra 9 and verse 12. The moon's beautiful, man. Right now. 2 Ezra 9 and 12, it reads, the same must know it after death by pain. So that's the only way Jake gonna get it, man. Is after death by pain, by painful and gruesome death. Ultimately from those missiles, but also from sword, famine, death, and destruction, as it is written in 2 Ezra 15th chapter. But Jake gonna keep playing. That's all Jake want to do, man. Is play games. As the script say, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I did things as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Jake made. When Jake was younger, you may have had individuals that some Jake, when they was younger in their heydays, would have played with would have did something like that. But even so, if you're in your right mind, you would not do that, man. You may poke fun at an officer or something, but that what he did that was more than just childish, man. That was just plain out fucking stupid. That was a YN move. That was very, very intelligent for him to do that. But yeah, you put away all that shit. You put away all that stupidness. You put away all those games. You put away all that nonsense that you did, man. You're a man. But these individuals, they don't have a man mindset. That was a very childlike mindset that he did. I know I keep harping on the fact, but we're Israelites, man. You're supposed to be smarter than that. But as it is written, ye are of your father the devil. That was a very stupid thing to do, man. He seemed like a pretty cool Jake. And as I was talking to him, he did. As I was talking to him more and more, he did seem, very childlike. He didn't seem, too mature. He seemed like that he was still trying to live like he was in his 20s. From what it looked like to me. He seemed cool, but he was trying to act very childlike. Trying to act like he's hip to the game. Bro, you're not hip. You about to break a hip. Go sit your ass down somewhere and drink some water. God damn. Jake's stupid, man. Again, man, Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heaven, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. Because he know that he had but a short time. You're lucky that wasn't an ICE officer. ICE officer would have shot you immediately, man. But we're coming to those times, man. What Isaiah 59 and verse 16, I believe. When the enemy shall come in like a flood. The enemy's about to come in like a flood, man. I'm gonna get that scripture. I'm pulling up to this red light. So. You gotta move with wisdom, man. Let me get that one. I believe they're on move. I thought there was scripture going to move with wisdom. Let's see if chat can bring one up and provide scriptures. Should chat come up with Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. You got to get understanding, man. I'm driving again. But, just as it also says, the prudent foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. You gotta hide yourself from evil, man. As it is written, I believe 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 16, I believe, abstain from all appearances of evil. You gotta hide yourself from situations like that, man. You gotta play the low. You gotta let them have it, man. Because we're in the times where they ready to pull that trigger, man. But Jake gonna keep playing. You can't tell Jake that. Jake said, "Well, I didn't do nothing. It wasn't open. It don't matter if the pocket knife was open or not, man." Would have been another Jake on the news. Jake crying about it, and then the courts ultimately would have found that officer justified pretty quickly. Body cam and everything. He said, "Well, I'm sure he was recording." It don't. That gives them even more ammunition, more justification. Yeah, man. The moon is beautiful, man. I would put it on the camera, but driving. But yeah, man. That was pretty much the point. Just got to be circumspect, especially in the times that we're living in. Move with wisdom, move with, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Move with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Yahushai wouldn't do something like that. He wouldn't. And, in Romans 13 it says, obey them that have the rule over you. So you got to obey commands, man. As long as it doesn't, interfere with the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. As long as they're not saying, well, you got to put this chip in you, and just, if the officer says, "Hey, you got any weapons on me?" Yes, officer, I do. Yes, I do. I got a knife. You shouldn't have to explain this, but Jake's so hard-headed that you got to explain it to them like they're a second grader. No, don't pull your knife out and point it at the officer. You can't do that. You got to, and then, pat him on the head. You can't do that, son. You're like a little kid, man. It's time to grow up. And the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai is about to show these individuals what happens when you decide not to grow up. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the spirit, to the body, and to the fold. And before I end it off, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to where it's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Chakwadash. And double honors as always to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, Shalom.